might even wind up getting you in court or even hurt yourself. So a lot of folks are like you just said, they're just saying, skip it. I see it, but I don't see it. I'm not going to comment on it because it's not worth it. But that whole village thing is what I think we need to get back to, because I think that was the best society we had, and I don't care when that society was. A lot of times that village society was in hard times, because, I mean, if you remember that show, The Waltons, I mean, that was definitely all about the village, and that was during the Depression.
Right. Right. And I'm so glad I grew up during the era of the village, man, because it helped me to become who I am now, and I think a lot of people will agree, they have all these studies and stuff out now, and it's like, oh, don't beat your kids. You're harming them more than anything. And I'm like, I'll pass, because discipline helps you to follow rules and regulations. It helps you to have some type of self-discipline, because you know what the outcome of a negative consequence looks like. And not too many people want to see the same thing happen over and over. But when you allow children to grow up with all of that freedom, they don't know the boundaries. They don't have the respect factor built in. People are like, oh, I just talk to my kids. Yeah, all right. So you never okay. So when they get older and they start to become disrespectful when they're trying to find themselves, and sometimes it's not intentional. Sometimes it's, guys are getting hair in places that never was there before. Voices start to change. Females start to grow in places that they hadn't had anything prior, and attitudes start to change. So as they start to try to find themselves, if you're just, oh, well, I'll just talk to them if they do bad, and they finally say, you know what, shut the fuck up, because you're weak as hell. What are you going to do? You can't decide now that your child is 17 years old that you want to tighten them up. It's too late, because he's going to fight back, he or she. Now you're afraid of your own child, so it gives them a false sense of reality. They go out here, and then they, out there doing something and encounter one of those crazy-ass law enforcement officers. And they, well, hell, I cussed my mom and dad out. I can surely cuss this guy out. He ain't even my family. And then it has an unfortunate outcome. And, then everybody wants to rise up, and everybody wants to find solutions, and everybody wants to question why some law enforcement officers don't turn the others in. Well, it starts with you.
Right.
Absolutely,
it starts with you.
Right. You can't change. If you can't try to change the part of the world you live in, nobody's going to come and wave a magic wand for you. Some of the things, it takes a collective effort in different parts of the country to help fight. But if you just go and play Monday morning quarterback, or if I was there, if this is coulda, woulda, shoulda, doesn't apply in these situations, especially when you're raising kids. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. It's too damn late. They're grown now. Once they turn 18, they don't belong to you.
And I think that happens in a lot of our parts of society. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the things that we had was a play called I might not have mentioned that, but one of the things we had on Saturday was a play called The D Word, which talks about D word being divorce. And what they were talking about is the young lady is, I'm hoping to get her on the show, but she was divorced, and she was divorced as a Christian person. So then she had to deal with being a divorcee and being in the church. And, the church oftentimes, not all the time, but some churches have a very negative view of divorce, which oftentimes can also be contradictory, because they got this negative view based on what they read in the Bible of divorce and, marriage being sanctified and all of that kind of stuff. But then they turn around, and then if you read the statistics, they say that I think more than half of the ministers have been divorced, because the statistics I want to say I heard was it's like 50% of the society, 1 out of 2, but in the clergy it might be closer to 54 or 55. I mean, it might not be that much of a difference, but that's a smaller base too. So if you look at it being a smaller base, that's also a very different kind of crowd. So that's one of the things I asked the young lady was the church. I mean, it was a typical gospel play, so a lot of humor and jokes that are kind of stereotypical and things of that nature. But at the same time, I wanted to know when they developed the play further, because this is a work in progress. Apparently, she took the book to her bishop and first lady, and they were like, "This isn't a book, this is a play." So she then turned it into a play. But one of the things I wanted to know is if you, as you develop it, it's a work in development. Are you going to deal with that, that elephant in the room? And that elephant in the room being that, yes, divorce is a major issue. Yes, it's a major issue in society. Yes, it's a major issue in the church. So if you get divorced, how is your church handling that? Because some churches don't want to, either don't want to deal with the divorcee, or they want to steer him toward counseling. And nothing wrong with counseling, but in some cases it's that religious counseling that's trying to keep couples together that might not need to be together. So, sometimes you got to look at the whole way that things are being done, and sometimes the church actually feeds into what's going on among these divorced couples. In some ways, there may be ways that they can encourage them to stay together if they need to stay together, and they're bound to be together, bound to be apart. They definitely don't need to be chastising and persecuting those that are that went ahead and got this divorce based on their religious etiquette.
You know what? I look at it like this: two people get together. They think they are in love. They decide to get married, and then they find out that they have no business being together, or something happens, and they just find out that, you know what, this isn't the one for me. They have every right to get divorced the same way they got together. And people are like,
exactly.
You got to stay together. Nah, man, if you're miserable, get out. If you're in an abusive relationship, whether the abuse is coming from the man or the woman, get out. If you argue more than you have regular conversation, get out. If you look at that person and you have hate, you have those feelings of disgust or whatever, it's time to go. No, people sometimes look at religion and they use it where they want it to apply. On one hand, this isn't so bad, but on the other hand, this is horrible. Well, hell, I remember being 10 Commandments, so what I've read, and it's probably more because we know the Bible was pieced together.
Right.
But, if they feel like it's time for them to part ways, allow them to part ways. Don't force anything to be together. It doesn't work. It makes it worse.
It makes it worse, and a lot of times people wind up, which can then add a whole other element of disdain to the relationships, because sometimes people wind up staying together because of others that are involved in the relationship, and I'm thinking about like kids. But kids also can. We won't even talk about the abuse part. That's a whole other thing. But even with relationships, kids can sense when there is tension in the house. So you sit there thinking that you're staying for the kids, but you may be actually adding to the detriment of the kids, because you're staying in the relationship because you think that that's going to be better for the kids, but the kids might be adding and learning from some of y'all's bad habits, which then cause them to repeat the cycle. So we got to be real careful about that as well. Like I said, I've been fortunate to not, or unfortunate, depending on your point of view, to not be married and everything. But I do know that you also have to be in there, like you said, for the right reasons, and don't be just staying in there just for the sake of the kids. I mean, I get it, particularly the kids are young and everything. But a lot of times, particularly as they get older, these kids are smart and they realize what's going on and they sense what's going on. And you might just actually be adding to some of their problems. I think that some of the acting out that goes on in school is because of that. So we have to be real careful about how we handle those things, because it can actually add to more detriment than we think it does. So that's got to be a real careful kind of line that we toe in terms of what we allow people to do in that context. And I also know that sometimes people stay in relationships just for the sake of relationships. And, I've been one of those people that, might even break up for simple reasons. The person might have done something cosmetically or something that was appealing when I first saw them, and then I didn't find it appealing later on, but, that comes with maturity, that you realize that it's about the whole package of the person, not just about one feature or one other feature, because we all are not the same as we were when we were 10, 15 years younger. We've all gained or lost some things that we wish we still had, but we may not still have.
Yeah, if you want to show a child a truly dysfunctional relationship, go ahead and stay together.
Right.
Go ahead. Go
Absolutely.
ahead.
Yep.
go ahead, because somewhere along the line, boy, they're going to learn. And it just even listening to different conversations, like those kids are not dumb. Kids are not
No.
dumb. And unfortunately, as adults, sometimes we believe that children don't know certain things, but they're very smart and they're very astute. They pay attention to a whole lot of stuff that you don't even think. You want a good example? Get around a 2-year-old. and
Oh, yeah.
and the things that they observe and the things that they remember. My granddaughter came to stay with us this weekend, and her mom, when she dropped her off, so they were in the Wawa, and they walked past the Mountain Dew. I drink Mountain Dew a lot, and she pointed at the Mountain Dew and said, "This is Poppy's drink," and I was like. I just started laughing, but then I thought about it. I said, man, I'm glad I'm not an alcoholic, because if they had walked past the beer case and she would have said, this is Poppy's drink right there, somebody would be like, why does a 2-year-old know this man drinks liquor, So you got to be real careful about different things, because they pay attention to a lot, and they mimic the mannerisms and different things that they see. So you got to make sure you are setting that the right example, because if not, it'll be a bad situation, man. A bad situation.
Absolutely. I think I heard the doorbell, so we got to get to the doorbell. I know we got some ads, but before we get to the doorbell, speaking of people setting bad examples, I do have to give a shout out, and this isn't even my sport, because I'm more of a basketball definitely person, football person. Follow baseball because of the Brewers, but definitely the two sports that I'm really into is basketball, football, and to some degree I try to keep up with track and tennis and things of that nature. But, we're in the Carolinas, we're in the Triangle, and I'm really liking the Hurricanes' attitude, because, they came in there with just a bunch of jerk attitudes. They did not fit the stereotype of what hockey is supposed to be. They're doing celebrations, stuff like that. Some of the hockey establishment was not too pleased with them, so they actually turned it into a marketing ploy, and they actually are kicking butt left and right. They swept their last opponent, the New York Islanders, and before that they beat the defending champions. So now I think they're waiting to find out whether they'll be playing the Boston Bruins or Columbus, because the winner of that will go to the Stanley Cup. So they've been to the Stanley Cup twice. I think when they first joined the league back in maybe 2006 or something like that, they actually won it. Then they went another year, did not win it, made it to the finals. And so this could be the third time making it to the finals. We're hoping it brings another championship to the Triangle. But I just like their whole attitude, because, sometimes you have to adjust in sports, kind of like what Tiger did. I did not appreciate him adjusting and then going hanging. I didn't appreciate him adjusting and then going hanging out with Mr. Trump, but that's a whole other story. I did not appreciate that, but he just got a right to do what he wants to do. But definitely, I like the way that they just kind of like the hockey establishment, some of the hockey media people were like really getting on them, because they were different. They were adding a whole youth element to their style, and definitely not being your tried and true stage kind of hockey game. And they are milking it for all it is worth marketing wise. And I'm saying go Canes. So hopefully the Canes will continue this road. They're waiting for the next opponent. They do have some injured players, so this rest could be beneficial for them. But we'll see if they can't do something in the Eastern Finals, which they have now made it to, and possibly make it to the Stanley Cup.
I hear that. So we're going to jump into this. We're going to get to the ad, then we're going to rock out with our guest. But it's Straight Talk with Dean and Mark. Call and join the conversation, 646-668-8393.
911, what is your emergency?
My kid shot himself.
All right, where's the wound?
911, what's your emergency?
Please help. My son shot his brother. 911, what is your emergency? 911, please state your emergency.
Every day, 8 kids and teens are unintentionally killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns.
It wasn't locked.
Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
All right. Well, caller, you are now on the air with Straight Talk with Dean and Mark. Good evening. Let us know who you are and where you're calling from.
Hi, is it me?
Yeah, hey, how you doing, Kim?
I'm Kim Lenz, and I'm calling in again to talk to you guys.
I appreciate it, Kim. Kim is a blues artist, or actually, I should just say a music artist, because I want her to describe her music. Because when we talked last time on my blues show about a month ago, we were trying to describe it, and it's got all kinds of styles. So I'm just going to let her describe her music, because I know she's definitely a singer-songwriter, but how would you describe your music? Because it definitely covers all kinds of styles. I mean, you even get involved in some things that have to do with some political stuff as well, and we'll get into that. But how would you personally characterize your music?
Well, I think I just characterize what I do as American roots music.